going to do my updated foundation routine. The last one that I did, I think it was in May 2013, so it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years now, so I thought I would update it. I've had some requests to update it, and so that is what I'm going to do today. There's a few products that are still the same, but a lot of it is different, and a lot of the tools that I use to apply my foundation is different as well. So if you'd like to know what I do to get my foundation on my face, then just keep watching. So in my last foundation routine, my primer that I used was the Benefit Porefessional, and it's still my favorite. Whoops. It is still my favorite, and I haven't found one that I like as much. There is one that I've tested just on my hand by L'Oreal. I can't quite remember the name of it, but it feels a lot like the Porefessional. So when I run out of this, I'm going to try that one and see if it performs the same. But the main reason why I love this one so much is because it really minimizes my pores. As you can see, I have quite large pores. And I find when I don't use the Porefessional, my skin just doesn't look as good. The makeup emphasizes the pores, which is not what you want. So with the Porefessional, I like to sort of press it into my skin. I find that it works better that way with filling in my pores and whatnot. Now for foundation, that hasn't changed either. I still use my Revlon ColourStay because I haven't found a foundation that I find works as well with my really oily skin. But I have changed what I use to apply my foundation. I like to use either a beauty blender or the Miracle Complexion Sponge from Real Techniques, and that is what I'm going to use today. I really love this thing. I've been using it non-stop ever since I bought it. This is actually my second one. But I bought my original first one back in October. The reason why I like, or at the moment, why I like a sponge more than a kabuki brush is I feel like it gives a flawless, like a more flawless finish. Like I find with a kabuki brush, it can come off quite streaky and have to do a lot of blending and a lot of rubbing. So I just got a bit of foundation on my palette here. I like to use a palette because I find if I put it on the back of my hand, it just soaks into my hand and I'm losing so much product. But yeah, it's really, really simple. If you're just starting out in makeup, I would probably suggest using one of these first because they're pretty much foolproof. So this does a pretty good job with covering up my breakouts and my pimples. So I'm just going over in a second layer on the parts of my face that need it. I never wear earrings when I'm doing my foundation because I always like to go over my ears, especially if it's a colour that doesn't quite match my neck because of fake tanning, because I don't fake tan my face. I then like to get a Q-tip to get rid of the foundation on my lips because I can't stand that. Now this is where the products get a little bit different. Underneath my eyes, I normally like to use my MAC Pro Longwear. If I don't use this one, then I'll probably use my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is, I think, a little bit lighter than this one. This is, I think it's NW20? Yeah, NW20. So I've just got that on my ring fingers, and then I just place that under my eyes. Sometimes I do the whole triangle thing under my eyes, and then other times I just don't bother because the concealer's not light enough to give that highlighted effect down there. Right, this one is not that light on me. I might do it if I use my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer because that's a lot lighter. I just realised something that I like to do before I do my concealer is that I like to put my primer on my eyes. So my favourite one at the moment, the only one that is working for me, is the NARS Pro Prime Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. The reason why I like to put this on before I blend in my concealer is because no matter how careful I am, somehow I still get this sponge, the concealer, slightly on my eye in the inner corner, and that's where my eyeshadow smudges the easiest and the quickest. And I find if that concealer is already there and then I put my eyeshadow primer right on top, it will crease, and I hate that. Okay, that's blended in. So now I'm just going to go in with the pointy end of my Miracle Complexion sponge and blend in that concealer. See, I like to go like right in that inner corner because that's where it can look a bit bluey from veins that I have on my eyes. I really like using this for blending out my concealer, especially with the MAC Pro Longwear because it is so liquidy. I find with a brush it just gets all soaked up into the brush, and then you're left with nothing. Okay, so for blemishes I like to use my Covergirl and Olay, what is it? Simply Ageless Concealer. I know it is for your eyes, but because it's so like thick and sticky and tacky, I find it's really good for blemishes because it just sticks and it doesn't move. And to apply it, I like to use my Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer Brush. Can you hear the kookaburras? We've got quite a few kookaburras that like to sit out there and laugh. This concealer is a little bit too light for this foundation. That's okay, you can't really tell. Now for powder, because I always set my foundation because I have oily skin. If you have dry or normal skin, yeah, you don't need to use powder, you are blessed. So I have a few that I like to use. If I'm wearing quite a full coverage foundation like I am wearing today, I will most likely use a powder like this one. This is the Stay Matte Pressed Powder, and it is in translucent, so it won't add any colour, it'll just set my foundation. If I'm wearing more of a lighter foundation, light coverage, then I'll use a powder that has a little bit more coverage. So I've got two here which are very similar, one high-end, one drugstore. So the high-end version is the Benefit Hello Flawless powder, which looks like that. It's very velvety, very smooth. But the drugstore dupe for that is the Revlon Nearly Naked Pressed Powder, which is also really, really smooth, if not maybe a little bit more. But these ones are both quite high coverage in terms of powders. If you want something that's just going to set and not add any colour or anything, then I would use the Stay Matte translucent powder, which is what I'm going to use today on my face. I like to use the Nude by Nature Kabuki brush to set my foundation because it's just so soft and dense, and I like to press rather than dust because I feel like it just sets it better. I'm not going to do under my eyes because I have another powder for that. So for under my eyes, I like to use a shade from the Australis AC Onto a Contour and Highlighting Kit. If I'm more, like if I've self-tanned and I'm using a darker foundation, I'll probably use the middle shade, which is a yellowy colour. But if I'm just my normal pale self, then I'll use the lighter colour over here. So that is what I'm going to use today because I'm pretty pale today. This brush is the Sigma F35 and it's actually for highlighting, but I find it's perfect for underneath your eyes. Now I thought I would include contour and highlighting using this palette because I know quite a few people have problems with this palette because it's so intense and pigmented that the colours just look muddy and dirty and they can't blend them on the skin. So I'm going to show you how I make it work for me. So to contour underneath my cheekbones, I like to use this middle shade here, which is the shade that has the coolest tones in it, because a natural contour isn't going to be warm. It's going to be cool. Like ultimately it's going to have like a grey cast underneath it. Like if you can see right now, you can see a slight shadow there. So you want to use a contour powder which has a grey cool undertone. And I'm just going to use my Sigma F40 brush. Now how I like to use this is I will barely tap into it, like literally I'll do this. Okay, so I've tapped once. Then what I'll do is I will tap a few times on here, squish it into the onto the lid, and then I will go in under my cheekbones. So there's barely any product on there, but literally that is all that you will need. So your contour is going to be underneath your cheekbone, so just get your finger and press on your cheekbone. Keep going down until you feel it going in. And that is where you want to place your contour shade, right there. You don't want to go any further than your eye. So just imagine a line going from the corner of your eye down there. You don't want to blend any further because then it'll just look unnatural and not very nice. So you want the most color concentrated up here and then blend it out. Always blend up, don't blend down, because that just kind of defeats the purpose of a contour. See, like for me, that is perfectly fine for every day. It looks a little more severe in the viewfinder than it does in real life. I don't know why it does that. It always does that, but as you can see, there is quite a big difference. If you have a really large forehead like myself, you might want to contour your forehead. I like to stamp first and then blend. For blush today, I'm just going to use my Benefit Coralista. Really pretty color. I tend to put blush more so on the backs of my cheeks, so around here, not way up here, but just around here rather than right there. Now I don't really have to add highlight because that blush has such a nice sheen to it, but I'll show you anyway. I just do the same technique with the highlighting shade in the Australis palette because it is quite intense. Having large pores like myself, any kind of highlight will kind of emphasize large pores. So I could never use anything like the Balm Mary Luminizer. I could never use that because it would be too much, or the Becca highlighters. Yeah, they would probably be way too intense for my skin, unfortunately. And I think that's about it for my foundation routine, my base routine. I'm just going to finish off my brows and eyes and lips, and I will be right back. Alright, so I applied the rest of my makeup. If you want to see what else I use, like my eyebrows, eyes and lips, then I'll have it listed below. But that is it for my updated foundation routine. I know a few of you guys were asking me about it, so I thought I would update mine because quite a few things have changed. But thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a really great week, and I will talk to you soon in my next video. Bye. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so today I have come up with a beautiful soft romantic makeup look, and then I've paired that with two different outfits. One that's a bit more casual for the warmer parts of the world, and then one is for